gave the watch, it's perfect timing. I can see clear, clarity diamonds, ice on the crew. Everybody shining, can't nobody stop me from grinding.
Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I'm your host, Jaden Adams, and welcome back to another episode of the No Laces Podcast.
I'm your other host, Randall Moss, and now I'm going to introduce our esteemed guest, Utaff Gordons, who taught science for 35 years before retiring in 2020, and is also a member of the fraternity Omega Psi Phi. He also served in the United States Navy and is an HBCU graduate from South Carolina State University before getting his Master's of Education at Cambridge College. In his first season, he won a state championship as a head coach of Soul C. Johnson in 2013. He is also a state champion as assistant coach for Soul C. Johnson girls basketball team in 2019. Led the boys basketball team to a Final Four appearance in both 2014 and 2020. State champion runner-up as assistant coach in 2012 for the SAVANNAH High Blue Jackets. Final Four appearance in 1994 as an assistant coach of the Alfred Ely Beach Bulldogs. Multiple time coach of the year. A strong presence that lit up the sidelines of Savannah and even ESPN.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Coach Gordon is one of the best coaches in any sport from the city of Savannah, and we grateful to have you on the show today.
Hey, Jaden. It's my pleasure, Randall. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so to start off, some would say you are an honorary Bowles family member. As much of them as you have coached, can you speak on what made them special, and specifically ELEIK and ELAVIAN, who were phenomenal the last 2 years at Savannah State?
It all boils down to the matriarch of that family, Mrs. Bowles, their grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She allowed for me to have the creative license to work with her grandchildren. And that goes from ELEIK, ELAVIAN, Amari, and then finally Lil Dre,
Mm-hmm.
all of whom could really play. So I'm indebted to her as a result thereof.
I think in 2020, I think ELEIK was Player of the Year, and then all the Bowles brothers were the first team or second team all region. It was nice.
And you know what made them so unique? Let me just give you the side story outside of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there were times when, my health was declining and I was struggling greatly. ELEIK and ELAVIAN every day religiously would come by that classroom just to make sure that they checked up on me. I remember Mari, when I first got him, he was a little old short guy. And the good part was the fact that people didn't pay much attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
And when he shot, it almost looked as though it was a knuckleball because it didn't have what is the conventional backspin rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the earth spinning on its axis type rotation.
Wow.
And it had a nice arch to it. But he was buckets. Now, what Dre did was, because Dre was so good, so young, he mastered all the phases of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to grow into the game as a result thereof. And the only thing, that's a regret for me was the fact that I didn't get to finish the deal with Dre. Not to say that he didn't finish the deal for himself. It's just that, sometimes you want to see your boys all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But I just knew that in 20, that was it for me. Mm-hmm. And, that last year, my last year of coaching basketball, we were able to go to the Final Four. And really, the Elite Eight was always my Waterloo, only because we were always having to go on the road to play the Elite Eight games. Mm-hmm. And so I said to that team that year, hey, look, y'all are not going to fail on no Elite 8. You're going to win that so we can go to the Final Four. And that team actually was able to accomplish that. So, but I just have a special love for all my players and particularly for the Bulls.
That's wonderful.
We have a special message actually from ELEIK and ELAVIAN for you. So I'll just quote here. It was great and we loved playing for him. He brought so much energy and enthusiasm to each and every game. He saw our potential and pushed us as hard as he could on and off the court. Our bond with him is way deeper than basketball, and he'll be able to tell you about that, which you kind of went into it. One of the coolest and smoothest people you'll ever meet, a good role model, and he always tried to bond with every player, whether it was JV or varsity. He gave everybody nicknames. Make sure you tell him that we said what's up and we love him.
Hey, you know what? Y'all better turn the camera off. I don't want to be crying out here. No, but everything that they said was true.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always believed that Sol C. Johnson, and I'm talking about from administrators on down, that it was important to have a program. I know that I was the varsity coach, but I had to also be involved with my junior varsity, which I was, and even my 9th grade team, which, a little history. I had to start with the 9th grade team when I was coaching at Windsor because I had so many good players, I couldn't cut anybody. And the other coaches, they bought in when I was coaching at Windsor at the time. And so as a result, that's how the 9th grade league started. Mm-hmm. One thing I can say about my great friend, he's my coaching buddy, Coach Jordan. Even if I get something going, he's a sustainer. He'll keep it going. Mm-hmm. And so, whatever it was that I may have implemented, he was always able to sustain and make better as a result. So, no, I can't take any luster off his shine. I'm very proud to have been associated with him also.
That's wonderful. There's also a viral clip on the internet that made the ESPN Bleacher Report of you playing defense on an opponent. Can you tell us how that came about?
Okay, look, let me be honest. First of all, most people only know that I coach. Mm-hmm. Hell, I had a hell of a basketball game too. I was able to play at one time. That aside, I was always a firm believer of being involved in the game. Maybe to some folks, they may have saw it as extreme. My players always saw it as keeping them focused, because if I could do what the devil I was doing, they did the same. And now I'm going to give something away, everybody, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to these two gentlemen here, Randall and JD. Our strategy was to force a ball handler in front of our bench. Run the trap on him on the court, directly in front of me, and as long as I did not break this imaginary plane from the sideline straight up, I was playing defense on them on the sideline too. I've used plenty of games. I'm running up and down the sideline playing defense also. And what happened was the Elite 8, my Waterloo game at Greater Atlanta Christian, the guy was on the sideline and he was getting ready to inbounds. The only thing that I wanted to do was distract him from having an easy inbounds pass. Mm-hmm. It was my hope that if I'm jumping up and down and making him throw a pass with a lot of air under it, that we had a chance to pick it off and go. Definitely. That was it. Mm-hmm. Now, I received a lot of criticism because some individuals felt like it was unsportsmanlike. But the one thing that I learned was this. Like when I was playing defense on the sideline, I was yelling at my players. Mm-hmm. I wasn't yelling at the opposition. You know, hey, look, I had to use every advantage I could get, you know, because I was trying to win. And so, and I said at the time that I was circumventing the rules, which means trying to get around the rules. Yeah, I was circumventing the rules to a certain degree, but it was never to the point where I was trying to do anything to the detriment of another athlete on an opposing team, because that would be unsportsmanlike. Right. And plus, I wanted the other team to have fun playing too. And I know that we had a press conference early that season, and I knew it was like one of my last seasons. I just was telling everybody, hey, look, I'm winding down in my career, so every game for me is going to be fun. And so that's what I did. I just had fun. And I'm hoping everybody else had fun as a result.
Yes, sir.
Next, can you tell us what went into you being a great coach? And I know you're extremely humble, because I watched, it was one year you had the number 2 team in the state. Yeah. And it was before the season. You said, hope we can just hang around with the big dogs. So can you just kind of either or just go into kind of your philosophy, and if you could touch a little bit on your battles with Coach Bakari Bryant.
Well, look, let me tell you something interesting. And Bakari will tell you. I coached him when he was a 12-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So, I've been in the Savannah community with basketball coaching, and a lot of the kids, a lot of the individuals, a lot of the young men that are here, at some point in time or another, I've coached them, whether it was formally with a high school or whether it was a recreational league or a rec team. I've had interaction with them. So that's why, I always tell people, I never lose. I never lose because I got kids that play for teams all over the place. And their motivation is to show me whatever it was that I taught them, they learned. And so now they trying to beat me. So if my team wins, I win. If they win, I still win, because they still my kids. And so I'm saying all that to say, you don't necessarily have to have the greatest athletes to be a winner. There were times when I was just a better strategic type of coach. Mm-hmm. And anytime another coach called a timeout on the sideline, I'm already in my mind countering his move. So I'm either going to have the talent, which I was blessed to have because everybody wanted to play for me. Mm-hmm. Well, at least I'd like to think that. Or I was a little bit more strategic with the talent that I had at that time.
So I got to ask you, your state championship winning team or Coach Bakari Bryant's state championship winning team, who you got winning?
Man, let me tell you, they not coming close to us. I'll tell you exactly why. We were too long and too strong. That team, if I was playing a 1-3-1, the 3 in the middle, if they all stretched their arms out,
they touching each other.
It went from sideline to sideline. Now, you got to remember, and this is how I coach. Hey, look, I'll coach a team and play 5 guards because I truly believe it's more important to be able to have individuals that can get anywhere they need to go. Well, I'll take my chances on the rebounder because, see, I'm going to be scrappy enough and I'm going to fight hard enough where some of them rebounds you aren't always grabbing them above the rim. Mm-hmm. A lot of them come long. Right. I got to be faster. Hey, that team there was special in the sense that, boy, as much hell as we caught that year, when it was time to go to the state playoffs, they got it. It was like everything clicked all at once. Nah, Kari, I love you. Man, I love Malik. I love Bubba. Like I said, those my kids too. But at the end of the day, I had too many guns. I'm just being honest.
Quick question before we go to our next question. Was that what was the most fun team that you coached? That don't have to be the
most
best
fun team?
but the most fun team you coached.
My second year as a head coach at Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
That team I had Arky Thompson, Antoine McCray. I had Raheem Haynes, Leroy Hill, Terrence Boney. And I was blessed to have coached my son then. That team was so much more fun because, hey, look, I was just as tall as all of them at that time. But the thing that I used to love the most was, boy, when we went to our layup line, everybody on that team was over the rim and they would just drop the ball. And then they spread their arms like they was flying off. That team was just fun because I always knew that I had a chance, with that team. Yeah, that was the most fun. Mm-hmm. And, there are different categories. The most fun or the most talented, mm-hmm. The greatest player. Well, that team was the most fun for me.
That's nice. In 2012, you were an assistant coach on the Savannah High Blue Jackets basketball team who became state champion runner-ups.
Right.
And in the following season, you won a state championship in your first year as head coach.
Right.
What went into you learning from that state championship loss to become a state championship winner?
All the experiences that I had over the years. And then what was happening was, when I first went to Savannah High, let me back up a little bit and say that doggone Tim Jordan. He's slick now. You got to watch him. When Tim Jordan found out that I was finally able to come back to Chatham, he asked me to come on, let's go sit in the gym, man. Let's chop it up. Because he was just happy I was back. But he knew, because I was done with basketball, but he knew, man, the minute I'm in the gym and I'm hearing the ball, there's a certain smell that come with it all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was in my blood. And so there was a kid dribbling the ball for that team. While we was talking, he just fell down. Like he tripped up over the line. And I said, oh, man, Tim, hold on. So that's how it started. And then every day I kept coming back. So then what we did was we built that program from nothing. And what happened was that team that went to the state championship in 2012 had no top 5 ESPN, the top players in the nation. They wasn't even top players in the state. But the one thing I'll always say, they had that Savannah High pedigree. They were all dogs. And we rode dogs all the way to the finals. We lost the finals that year, but you know what my job was? And that, man, I had the best job in the world. I'm going to tell y'all. I would get out of school, and Tim said, whenever you show up, Ro, he always called me Ro, as opposed to Cisco, as opposed to Coach. He said, well, every time you get out, Ro, come on by the gym. Show them what they need to know. So like I told y'all before, I know strategy. I know how to manipulate things to counter whatever another coach was doing. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we came so fast, because I was the strategic guy. Tim was the head, and that's the thing I respect about him also. He not so insecure where he worried about somebody coming after his job chair. He gave me the team and said, hey, you just do what you do. Mm-hmm. I whispered in Tim's ear, yo, run 6. Yo, let's go to do that. And he'd call it, and they would do it. That team had Chris Coakley and Jamal Norman, who played here. They were dudes. They were dogs. Man, next thing you know, we in the championship game playing against Milton. And really, ball rights, should have beat them. Mm-hmm. We also had a guy who he always touches my heart. We call him DOOKA. For the 2 years prior, he would always talk about, we can this, that, and we would always say, you talk a good game, but you ain't doing stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Senior year, DOOKA ain't say nothing, but DOOKA did it. And he was no bigger than maybe 6'4", 6'5". Couldn't do anything with him. And like I said, we didn't have any top-tier players. We just had dogs. And dogs can take you farther than talent. I'm going to be honest. You got to have them dogs.
So you a firm believer in hard work beat talent?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, easily. Hey, look at ELEIK. And look at ELAVIAN. I just came to a game where I'm watching ELEIK play here at Savannah State. He going up against bigs around the post and dominating them. That's only because those Bulls boys just believed in working harder than their coach worked sometimes.
Quick question. 'Cause
Yes.
You said, I think dogs is probably the most overused word nowadays. So tell me, or can you enlighten our viewers on what a dog really is?
Okay, you got to remember that I first made my bones here in Savannah at Beach High School.
Mm-hmm.
Their nickname, their mascot, Bulldogs. What a dog is a basketball player who is relentless, whether it's on offense or on defense, always in a position of aggression. Whatever mistakes are made, they don't dwell on those mistakes. They go right back to make that next play. And they make that next play. You are always in the game with them. You always have a chance because of the relentless nature of a dog. And see, a lot of people, I ain't talking about no poodles. I'm talking about pit bulls or German shepherds or Doberman pinchers. I'm talking about the type of dogs that you don't want to happen to jump across a fence and get in the yard with. You don't want those. And see the difference between Savannah basketball and Atlanta basketball. Yeah, Atlanta basketball get a lot of exposure. They got top-tier players going all over this, that, and the third. Yeah, I got immense respect for the folks in Atlanta and what they've done. They don't want no dogs coming up there to play. That's all I know. That's the one thing that I know for certain. And we bring dogs every time we go. So that's my definition of dogs.
When did you decide that coaching was something that you wanted to do?
By accident. Let me tell you something. I started teaching at Orangeburg Wilkinson. My first experience was with the Orangeburg Wilkinson girls B team. Now let me tell you what that's about. I'm in tryouts with these B team girls. One girl picks the ball up and runs the length of the court and throws it, and it don't even hit the backboard, it hits the wall. Okay, so now you got an indication. How many games did I win that year? One game I won. I won that game 2-0. But what I learned from that game is whoever get the most shots up, they got the best chance of winning. And that game, I got the most shots. I also that year learned, if you put the work in, you can see some progress, because there was a team, Holly Hill, that beat us by 40-something the first time I played. Well, I'm a young coach. It bothered me, but hell, it wasn't taking anything off my shine because I wasn't shining anyway. then the last game of the season, we played that same team again. I lost that game, but I lost that game by 7 points. Hey, look, that's a hell of a jump from getting your head beat in by 40-something to now being able to compete. And you only lose to this team that was real good at the time by 7. Now, I want more games. Yeah, oh, darn, season's over. And so the next year, I, got the JV boys at Orangeburg-Wilkinson. Well, I was winning every game early in the season, and we was playing against this team, Bowman. And Bowman had won every game, and we had won every game. So it was a clash of junior varsities. Now, I had never well, no, I can't say that. But at that time, I had never seen a gym packed for a junior varsity game. This up in Orangeburg. We won that game. Later in the season, they came back. They won. But then I realized, hey, I can coach a little bit, As luck would have it, we relocated to Savannah. And I don't know, but in God's divine wisdom, he had me go to beach with a gentleman named James German. God bless the dead. I'm going to give him credit because he taught me how to teach defense, So, hey, look, I was just taking advantage of coaching opportunities wherever I went. Your housing authority want me to coach their little team? Yeah, I'm a coach them. Rec league, y'all want me to coach Salvation Army? Yeah, I'll coach them. I just get my feet wet. And I had the blessing of being able to coach 3 kids. Now, I'll call them out. The names are Murdoch, Lil C, and Manny Ross. Hey, anytime I walked in the gym, I knew, y'all gonna catch the devil. Because those 3 guards at 12 years old were better and would have been playing varsity for any of these schools around here today. And if y'all don't know, please ask somebody. As a matter of fact, Murdoch was the point guard for Savannah High's state championship team. Yeah, So I've been blessed. And I guess I got into this coaching by default and just stayed in it. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would you say there's a coach, kind of like the Beach High School coach, Coach German, that you learned the most information from, who helped you become the person you are today?
I can't say there's any one coach because, look, I've had so many mentors, and they weren't anyone that I worked for directly. Lewis Jenkins, coach at Windsor. God bless the dead. That man just took me under his wing, and I wasn't even one of his assistants. Lee Hill, once again, God bless the dead. He mentored me. He was up in Statesboro. I could say Larry Burke, the old coach at Jenkins. I'll even say Ron Love, James Green at Johnson. All of those coaches, I don't know what it was they saw in me. They may have seen in me. I don't know, but they all mentored me in some capacity to allow for me to grow. And so that's why I truly pay it forward. Hey, look, if I'm charged with mentoring somebody, like Coach Lindsey, who's a 2-time back-to-back state champion at Johnson. Hey, look, I mentored him to the point where he passed me in state championships at hell. I had to get that up, But being a mentor means being able to recognize that there's another young coach that can grow in this sport, and they can have a contributing effect, a great impact on not only the community, but on the young kids today. And so I just pay it forward for all those guys that did it for me.
Mm-hmm. you touched on a little bit that you had a playing career before coaching. Can you touch on the sports that you played when you were younger or high school, and how your playing career helped, or how did it affect your coaching style, the way you coach?
I played, and this is another piece. You know, you got to stay academically viable to play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the thought, you know, being immature, being young, that my basketball was going to do everything for me. Hell, I first got to South Carolina State, I thought, yeah, you know, I'd get on the team and just play basketball and party. That didn't work. After the first semester, I was on probation. And then shortly thereafter, I had to carry my behind in the Navy because I ain't have no money to go to school. So let me just make sure that I cleared that piece up. But, you know, having the opportunity to have a chance at playing all Navy, having the opportunity, you know, to play basketball with and around one of who I consider the greatest playground guys that you can find in New York. Name is Arnold Duggar. Went to DeWitt Clinton High School. He was a magician with the ball. Now, at DeWitt Clinton, if you went there primarily for athletics. And I don't know if y'all remember, there's this clip of Magic Johnson hugging this guy after the playoffs. That guy is named Butch Lee. Butch Lee was in the backcourt for DeWitt Clinton. So I've been in and around basketball in playing capacity at high levels. And see, in New York, you got tournaments that are bigger than playing high school ball. Citywide, Whitney Young, the GOAT tournament, Tiny All-Star tournament. You made your notoriety on the playgrounds. So, you know, by virtue of me hanging with ball players, I was recognized as, sure, he could play, you know. And so that was the essence of it for me in terms of playing basketball. I tried football, but I was coming home injured too much. My mama wouldn't let me. And as y'all can see, I'm slight of frame. So, and I played receiver until the dude hit me so hard. This is the story. The dude hit me so hard, I was laid out on the football field. And when my boys was coming around and say, "Hey, Utaff, you all right? You all right?" I was laying there saying, "Yeah, I'm all right, but I can't really see y'all real good." He said, "Yeah, because you trying to look at us through your ear hole in the helmet." He knocked my helmet sideways. Hey, boy. At that point, I knew football was not it.
Okay, if you could talk about a little bit, how has the landscape of, you've been around the game for a while, how has the landscape of coaching changed over time as far as how the game is played, and is it differently how you coach or reach kids today than it was back then?
All right. This is going to get me in trouble, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is this. I noticed that there was a paradigm shift in the way athletes revered their coaches when Latrell Sprewell choked P.J. Carlesimo. Mm-hmm. See, because prior to then, if a coach said it, athlete did it, didn't question it. Now, you got athletes questioning coaches like, and there are times when I've had to be very salty in saying, look, you don't see me coming out trying to coach. You shouldn't be trying to say anything to me about coaching. You don't see me trying to play. You don't need to try to coach. Now, I'm putting that mildly. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's that piece. Let me tell you the difference in me then and now. First of all, I had to mature. I even recognize that today. But I can remember coaching at Windsor and calling a timeout. And my players, when they saw me turning my ring around, I used to have a diamond cluster. I turned my ring around. They all knew. Here it come. And they would hold up tight like this. And I would tap their chest. I punch them in the chest. Man, if I was to do that today, I'm looking at lawsuits galore. That's that piece. The other thing is, you know, parental support is different. You can't put your hands on my kids. Oh, yeah, you're right. Take your kid. See, because your kid is not accepting the coaching. And so that's part of what comes into play sometimes. And now I understand so much better why Coach German was the way he was. He was fundamentally aloof. He wouldn't even deal with parents. That was then. I didn't understand it then. I was always the bridge. You know, well, you better go talk to the assistant coach. And then I would have to try to soften it up. But, you know, it's just different. You know, look, and then I can safely say no shade on AAU, because AAU does a great job of the exposure for the athletes and it helps them to grow. But when does AAU become more important than working for your team during the summer?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's messed up. So, you know, you're a coach trying to build your team for this next season, and your kids, some of your kids, they off somewhere playing on the circuit. Hey, look, we as coaches have to adapt. Got to deal accordingly. I can remember, boy, when basketball team camps was the thing. When Georgia Southern used to have a team camp up there, you used to have upwards of 50-plus programs there. And they had enough gyms. You know, I remember those days. At Savannah State, used to have a really big team camp. You know, my man Horace, I love Horace to death. I remember idolizing Horace when he was playing with Georgetown. You know, but Horace does a great job. You know, but you can only do so much with so much. But now, today, I'm a strong proponent of top-tier, talented young kids. Let's go to HBCU'S now. Y'all all ain't gonna be at a Duke and one and done. You ain't gonna be that. But you can, if you that good, you can build a program and you can go professionally from anywhere if you that good. And then the beauty right now is, hey, you ain't got to go to no NBA. You could get paid going overseas. I'm talking about get good money. So, you know, basketball has changed in a lot of ways, for the good and the bad.
Yes, sir. What is the best part about being a coach?
The paternal part, having so many sons and not have to pay child support. Yeah, I got so many sons. It's like TNTC, too numerous to count. That's the best part to me. The best part, when I used to open the gym at Johnson on Sundays for open gym to play, man, all these kids that I've coached, you know, that are either playing overseas or playing college or playing somewhere, all I could do is sit back and, like right now, cross my legs, relax, and just be entertained for hours. Yeah, that's the best part to me, because I can't play no more. but I sure can enjoy it. I'm a basketball junkie. I've been part of watching basketball since 1965, when they used to have doubleheaders at Madison Square Garden. So nothing pleases me more than to watch basketball. And please, don't think that I'm gender biased. Hell, I love watching the WNBA also. Them girls like Chelsea Gray, she a killer. And then Nguwale.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, look. I'm on the couch. And you know my favorite brew, Corona. I watch women's basketball because that's my love. So, yeah, that's the best part of basketball for me.
How do you deal with the mental challenge of being the coach and being praised for the wins and blamed for the losses?
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. My saying, even to my players, is you really find out, folks, when you lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's a short distance from a pat on the back to kicking that behind. That's a short distance. So, you know, that comes with the territory. If you don't have thick enough skin to deal with the criticism, this ain't this. I mean, coaching is not what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. The one thing that I abhor, the thing that I hate most, are coaches who they're bottom feeders and they ain't even trying to get better. Like, for instance, and I'm going to just be honest. You coach a program, I coach a program. I'm coaching my program every year to win a state championship. I know I'm going to be somewhere in the mix. I am not going to be outside of the top 10 in the state. Mm-hmm. More often than not, I'm going to always be in that top 5. And yet, there's a coach who ain't even winning any games in the region. But guess what? We both getting paid the same amount. Mm. To me, that's BS. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because now I recognize all you doing is coaching to finish the season so you can get your little supplement. That supplement ain't, that supplement isn't anything important to me. That's a better way for me to say it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't do it for the money. And if you got to do a job for the money, you better not do that job. I'm just being honest. So some of y'all out there, if you're a bottom feeder and I stepped on your toes, you may have deserved it.
You wrote a book titled The Rebound. What inspires you to do that?
Well, listen. And that poem, Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair, that's applicable to my life. See, what everybody sees publicly is the good stuff. And everybody can praise you for all the good stuff. But I've had struggles in my life with mental health. And I'm just being genuine and being real about it. And, you know, I had to go into a rehabilitative facility for substance. I had to get my life back. And so while there, every day I was sitting down, reflecting upon my life or reflecting upon what I was going through and all. And by the time I got to the end, I messed around and said, hey, I got all this stuff. I need to make good on it. But I'm going to also say that, you know, there have been certain things that I've wanted to do in my life, and writing a book was one. Well, I was able to do that. All books aren't happy ending, good feeling books. Some books tell hard truths. Sometimes you have to face hard truths about yourself and about how people may perceive you going forward. Like I said before, if you don't have thick skin, this ain't the game for you. And, life is the game that I have to continue to play every day. And so, that's why when I look at y'all, I'm inspired to continue to work hard and live right. Because I know that you guys, you can at least see flaws in me and say, oh, well, at least he got flaws. He ain't walking around here trying to pretend like he perfect. Yeah, because I'm not in any shape, form, or fashion. So yeah, that was my motivation.
With that being said, how is your mental health today?
Man, my mental health today is stronger than ever. And it has to be. It has to be primarily because I have some endeavors that I would like to see come to fruition. And it would be impossible for that to transpire if I'm not of a sound and solid frame of mind. In other words, ain't no way in hell I'm going to get caught slipping.
Yes, sir.
That's where I'm at.
What's the key to overcoming adversity? And kind of before you touch on that, can you touch a little bit on, obviously you had your mental health issues, you kind of called it out and was able to deal with them. But it's a stigma now that I believe, especially with black men.
Oh, man, I'm glad you hit that one.
With black men.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was exactly where you're alluding.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about mental health. I was one of them brothers, man, ain't no way I'm going to see a therapist. I'm gonna have to grind through this. As a black man, that's what we've been fundamentally conditioned to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys, man, no. If you go to a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, whatever the case may be, you weak. Yeah, I bought into that.
Mm-hmm.
Until I got the therapy. Then I started to recognize, hey, I got to talk to folks about this to give me clarity of what my problem is. And I had this lady. Well, I got a number of people. I don't know, I don't want to breach any confidentiality piece, but I got a therapist at the VA here. I had one when I was in a rehabilitative facility up in Dublin. And these ladies, they just kept looking at me and telling me, hey, look, you're not a bad person. And there's no such thing as a bad person. Now, people can do bad things, but does that make them a bad person? No. And so I had to start looking at everything and everybody differently. And this is the reason why, hey, look, if I'm driving and I may see somebody that's in the struggle or homeless, I don't have this preconceived notion. Oh, man, they trash. Evidently, there are conditions that may have led to that. And when you start talking with folks that may be in the struggle, you'll come to find, these people have value too. It's just that their value is suppressed because they are so woven into and embedded into their condition that they don't have the chance to explore what their gifts are. And so, that's how I look at folks nowadays. Hey, listen, I've taught science, everything from biology to physics over all these years. And I'm correct, it's been 30 years. Boy, you put another 5 on that thing. But, Jaden, Randall, I've had kids who, they came through and were in the struggle. I mean, they had to, when they left school, it wasn't about going home doing no homework. It was about them having to get out here because they had their little brothers and sisters to take care of because their parents were in the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was I going to do? Look at them differently? No, yeah. My life has been through a lot of places. And so all of my life's experiences have afforded me a chance to have the type of empathy that's required to be able to see the best in people as opposed to anything else. And so I'd like to think that at some point in time in my life, I'm treasured in the community for the good that I've done. Like that gospel song say, let the work I've done speak for me. Yeah, because I'm not perfect, and I know I never will be. And for all my life, mine is an open book. I ain't trying to hide nothing. I'm not trying to give anybody any false impressions. All my former students, they know Coach G is being just that, and hopefully I have some that I've impacted scientifically where they don't have to play no ball, but they're professionals, whatever the case may be.
That's wonderful. You also have a book that prepares high school athletes in the Savannah area to be college graduates. Can you share the main message?
Oh,
in that book?
that was my thesis paper. Yeah. Listen, for a long time, athletes were, I was always hearing from coaches, yeah, they pretty good, but they just ain't got the scores. Y'all got good athletes, but they just don't qualify to come to the big schools. So the motivation then became, by virtue of preparation, hey, look, let's get these kids in SAT prep school classes. Let's get more of our better athletes that are also academically viable in the AP classes. Now, there is this thing with me, and I'm ethnocentric. I'm going to be honest. Not going to hold no bars on that. I love seeing my African-American kids in AP courses, taking challenging courses, doing the tough stuff necessary to be able to grow. But, hey, look, I tell you what, if all things are equal and you have an African-American student and a non-African-American student, and they both commit the same infraction, why is it that one's consequences are so heavy-handedly done, but another's is not? I mean, what is it? And so, I'm of the mindset that, hey, look, if we're going to play the game, let's play the game fair rules straight across the board. And so, when I was in grad school and they were talking about, let's select your topic and hey, my thing was, what is it that I can do that would work towards me being able to get it? Because at that time, I thought it was important to help my kids prepare to go to D1s. Well, my view on that has changed. But we all evolve in our perspective. Mm-hmm. And that being the case, I'm right now HBCU. If it wasn't for an HBCU specifically, in my case, coming from New York, out the Bronx, there would be no way in the devil that I could be sitting here doing a podcast with you. I couldn't be doing that. South Carolina State has taught me so much. And, like I told you earlier, hell, I was going to school to party. I dropped out. I had to go into the Navy. It wasn't until, I started competing with other demographics that I realized, hey, shoot, I'm pretty smart. Mm-hmm. And I went back to South Carolina State to get my degree. but it's an HBCU that afforded me an opportunity to get an education. I remember being in this guy named Dr. Isabel's chemistry class, and I could not understand anything that he was teaching me. It wasn't until I started teaching it that I realized this is what this man has been showing me all along. You know, because my conceptual framework then wasn't ready. But the HBCU was preparing me for what was to come. That's why Savannah State, I tell people at any time, oh yeah, y'all take Savannah State for granted. Why? Because you live in Savannah, so y'all don't think Savannah State is viable. Navy ROTC program, you better carry your behind there, because if you get through that, who knows, you might be flying F-15s off of aircraft carriers. You never know what your career path is going to be, but you got to have some place to prepare you. Savannah State is it. You can get anywhere from here.
Definitely, no doubt about it. You started the ENMARKET Arena preseason hoops shootout, which will be happening this season with tentative dates in November. What inspired you to create this event?
Man, this gentleman named Monty Jones. And I'll tell you how that happened. We trying to get it going. What happened was, I was at the Saul C. Johnson graduation commencement exercise, and it was held at the ENMARKET Arena. Well, as I'm walking towards my car after the commencement, guy run around the corner, grabbed me by the shoulder, and I'm looking like, you know, one of them, I don't know you type looks. You know, and so he introduced himself, and he said, I'm the general manager here at ENMARKET Arena. Okay, my mind, okay, what's the angle? You don't look like you know general manager at ENMARKET Arena. And see, that's another thing. You know, we got to get past that. You know? But he said, hey, would you be interested in helping me, you know, do the high school thing here at the ENMARKET Arena? And I had already heard that the college event that they had last year wasn't as successful as they would have liked it to have been. I didn't know. I didn't even know anything about that. So, you know. Well, you know, I'm retired. So I got plenty of time on my hands. Well, as y'all well know, idle mind is the devil's workshop. And so for a person like me, idle time ain't gonna work. So Mr. Jones came behind me and he said to me, he said, Coach, could you help me with, you know, having the high school play here at ENMARKET Arena? Well, you know, I still have a relatively good network. I'm being modest about it, I guess, here in Savannah. So I said, sure, I'd be more than happy to help you. I needed something to do anyway. So I just started contacting my resources, going through the contact list in my phone, hitting everybody. Everybody, to a man, woman, or child, said, oh yeah, I'm with you, Coach. Just tell me what you need me to do. So then I said, wow, that's going to be worth it. So then I have this person that I mentor, a young lady who's also an alum that I met because I'm part of the South Carolina State Alumni Association recruitment program. Mm-hmm. She's a South Carolina State alum also. But she one of them tech-savvy type of make it happen, lay it out. So that website that you see, that ain't my work. That's her work. I got to give her the credit. All I got is the vision. Mm-hmm. She got the way. And Monty Jones has the means. And so between the three of us, we're working to make this happen for the community. And I always did want to do something more globally for the community of Savannah. So if there's going to be any legacy defining item, that's going to be it for me. If I get that going and I can convince Georgia High School Association to hold the Final Four here, I will have done a great thing for Savannah in my eyes, at least, you know.
Can you tell us the teams that will be participating as of right now?
Oh, yeah. Calvary, who's coached by a new gentleman named Scepter Brownlee. I don't know him very well, but, you know, from what I've gathered, he's well worth, you know, the effort. BC, Benedictine Cadets. That's my boy, Dr. Frank Williams. Call him Dougie. Hey, look, he's a basketball mind. He's one of them type where, like I used to tell you earlier, or like I've told you earlier, I like to work on strategy. Him and I would be playing chess all night long. Obviously, Derek Chuck Campbell, you know, he took over Johnson after me, but I'm so proud of Chuck. I'm proud of Chuck because the program has not fallen off one iota. He keeping the G. You know, he keeping that program tough. And then, you know, my guy, Tim Jordan. But I'm going to tell you this story. Hey, Coach Baker, my man. What's going on, Coach Baker?
What's up, big coach?
How you feel?
Good. I just got a recruit on campus that's walking through.
Hey, how you doing, my dear? Hey, girl, come to Savannah State now. Yeah, hey, y'all don't mind. Let me just go ahead and bump. Come on.
That's our quarterback right
How you doing?
Our coaches. How you doing?
And interrupted the interview by doing the cordial part. Hey, but recruitment is important. And evidently, she from LA. She must can hoop to come all the way across country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to give a Mount Rushmore of basketball players from Savannah, who would those 4 people be?
Darn, that's a question of questions. Okay. Everybody expects to hear Tim Quarterman. So let's get that one out the way. Well, we know 4 presidents on Rushmore, so I got to come up with 4 players. I'm going to say R.Key Thompson. James Murdoch Ferguson. Well, my son can't. And Darryl Wall. Yep. Tim Quarterman, James Ferguson, R.Key Thompson, and Darryl Wall. Yeah. Them 4.
Just to go back a little bit, did you always want to be a teacher?
No, let me tell y'all, I fell into teaching by accident. You know how when you are in your last year, you're required to take certain aptitude tests, exams, and things of that nature? Well, I'm at South Carolina State, and at the time, I didn't quite get paid yet from this facility that I was working at. But the deadline for the test was that day. I'm in the science department. I'm a biology major with a chemistry minor. So I was supposed to take the MCAT, Medical College Aptitude Test, I guess it's called. That cost $80. I had $40. The only other test of note was the NTE at the time, the National Teachers Exam. So it cost $33. So I had $7 change. I took the NTE and bust the NTE wide open. Primarily because I was a professional biology major. I wasn't a biology major with the teaching option. I was professional biology chemistry minor, not professional biology education minor. So my skill set intellectually was more intensive. So I blew the test out the water. So what the state of South Carolina did was they enrolled me in an alternative certification program. I went through the program and ended up teaching. Got my certificate to teach. Forget med school. Because you know what? It was a greater blessing for me to be in teaching. Just because it gives me an opportunity to be with y'all. You know, yeah, that's it. I came into teaching by accident.
Yes, sir. Through the years, what are some changes in the game of basketball here in Savannah that you've noticed? What are some that you like and some that you dislike?
I think I'm going to say that I think coaching jobs are so much easier to get in Savannah now. A job like Beach, you wasn't just gonna be interviewed and get that. You had to be of the community. You had to be here for a while. Hell, I didn't even get the head coaching job at Beach. It took me a minute. I had to do an apprenticeship for 7 years before I got a head coaching position. Whereas now, you know, you can come from out of town, apply for a job, and get it. That's no shade on who they have now. Because Coach Simon is a Beach alum. Highly respected by me for everything he's done. You know, but, you know, coaching jobs are coming a dime a dozen. I don't know. In my opinion, they just don't really have the love for it. They don't do the work for it. You look at Tim Jordan, he do summer league. He do a basketball camp during the summer. Then he'll turn around practicing between those two with his squad. That's work. You know? And yet you got some coaches, the only time that they would participate in anything going on here is when they ain't got no talent. But you let them have a little talent, shucks. You don't see them. They trying to go everywhere, trying to get their shine and exposure. And then, you know, when you down a little, you want to come to summer league, and then when you bring your team to summer league, you not there. Just a lack of dedication to the coaches. Another thing that I see is there are kids that you see as a talent when they're real young. Then you say, what happened to them? Or where are they? Because, you know, the streets may get them. In other words, they ain't playing no more. They on some other stuff. You know. But then you have some that does so, you know, they do so wonderfully well and people forget. That's Savannah. That's homegrown. I'll give you a classic case in point. Flage. You know, I can remember when she used to come to hoop school. She was a little kid, a little talented though. You know? Yeah, I wake up 10 years later. She one of the top players in the state of Georgia at Sprayberry. Okay. You know, I understand her mom, Kia, needed to do what she needed to do for her baby. Now she's at LSU. Now everybody want to claim her. No, shoot, y'all didn't even know when she was playing basketball. All y'all knew was that Camouflage, who, you know, my little boy Jason was her daddy. You know, now everybody, no, man, come on. Where were y'all, back when? Another classic case in point. Y'all gonna hear about him very soon. His name is Larry Johnson. He used to play for Beach. Then he went to Huntington Prep last year. Now he's out of the school in California. Oh, we produce top tier talent, but it may get away. At the end of the day, they all homegrown.
What message do you have for athletes and young coaches, even if not even in Savannah or just anybody that's listening? Just a piece of advice for young coaches trying to kind of pay their dues or get this or assistance or anything like that. Just some advice.
Hey, first of all, like I said earlier, if you get into this coaching, you better have some thick skin, because everybody ain't gonna love you. As a matter of fact, your family better have thick skin, because if they sitting in the stands, they getting ready to hear stuff about you too. That's number one. And then the second thing, don't give up on it. Sometimes I've been fortunate enough to have always been able to win, or to have at least enough talent where, I've always been in a position to win. But, if you get one of those teams that's not quite good, hell, change your philosophy. In other words, yeah, I like to play fast. But if I got a bunch of big, plodding, mechanical dudes, I can't use my philosophy. You got to fit your philosophy has to fit your group. Sometimes, there's some coaches that are so rigid or so steadfast in what they have as a philosophical approach to the game that, you got to be an amoeba. You gotta move with pseudopods and all that stuff. And if you get stuck a certain way, oh yeah, people like me who like to deal in strategy, I'm a prey upon what your weakness is. And so, if you used to playing mechanically, if you got a long team, yeah, throw it over the top. Find your spots. If you got a little team, you can't throw it over the top of nobody. You got to play fast. Right. So, adapt yourself to, your team's strengths. Mitigate the weaknesses to the best of your ability. Try to hide them, because there are some coaches out there, that's all they want to do. And you know what? I don't do film. I don't do film only because the damn camera lie. Every time I've scouted a team on film, somebody else beat me. So I don't do film. That's number one. You asked earlier about some changes. Let me also mention, because I had forgotten about it. I remember early on in my coaching, I used to go to chalk. Man, shucks. Hey, I need you to do this. This is what I need you. That's all I do now. Why? Because let me tell you something. Either I tell it to you and we've been working on it, you should know what to do. Ain't no sense in me drawing up nothing, because when you draw up stuff, they sitting there looking at you. Let me tell you what the basketball players do. They already in their mind's eye saying, you know what, I got to win this for coach. It's not like they rebelling, but that chalkboard stuff, I can safely say I stand between the bridge of being strategic on the chalkboard and then just saying, the hell with that. I'm going to tell you what I need you to do. Because I should have prepared you as a result of practice.
Just real quick, I remember it was one game, end of the game, Coach BROADNAX showed up to play, and ball goes to ELEIK, he's supposed to like get a screen and all this, and just a couple other things. But they forgot, so ELEIK just went, shot the ball, you know.
Yeah,
They made the play. 'Cause sometimes things break down. You just
hell yeah. And see, let me tell you something. If a play is successful, it's because of great players. If a play fails, it's because of poor coaching. Think about that. What was the coach doing on that play? What was he thinking about? But, oh man, look, he hit that shot. Man, my man can play. That come with the territory. Being honest. As a quarterback, you know, that carries a lot of daggone weight.
Definitely.
Carry weight, boy.
just as we get ready to come to a close, just reiterating that the ENMARKET Arena preseason hoop shootout will be happening this season with tentative dates of November 24th and 25th. And there also is a website to help support and donate to the event. Do you know the website off the? Oh, I just put it
off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's https://coachg2023.my.canva.site/.
Yes, sir.
We'll be sure to put that on the screen. Coach Gordon, we definitely appreciate you for
Jay,
being with us today.
it's been my pleasure.
Thank you,
Randall,
Professor.
it's been great.
This has been another episode of the No Laces podcast. We wildin', we clowning, but we still styling. And do not forget that we are on YouTube, so please like, comment, and subscribe. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So please be sure to download, rate, and review. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you.
Everybody shining, can't
Bye.
nobody stop me from grinding.